Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Latinaly podcast. Today, we are talking about something that so many people do. So many people are forced to do, so many people are pushed to do, and something that I've recently had to do. And that is quit my job. Not because I couldn't handle it, not because I was unhappy or that I hated my boss, which I don't. I love him. He's absolutely wonderful. Not because I didn't work well within my team. In fact, the people on my team are some of the most incredible, wonderful, talented, top tier human beings I've ever had the pleasure of knowing and working with. And now I get to call them my friends and my family. No, no. But because I was handed an ultimatum that boiled down to either quitting or losing the life that I built the past 5 years. And I will say this right now, no job on this planet is worth losing your peace, your kids, your family, and the entire life that you have built outside of work. No job. I worked remote for the past 5 years. COVID happened and the entire world shut down. I don't have to tell you. And since then, I've been home. And in that time, I built my family. I started in 2016, 2017, and I was commuting 5 days into the city. And yeah, it worked. I was able to do it. No problem. I was able to be out of the house for 12 to 14 hours a day and focus solely on my career. I was able to do that. I didn't have any dependents. I didn't have my children, and I could go whenever I pleased, and I didn't have, to be home or to take care of anybody. Like my husband's a grown man, he could take care of himself. For the past 5 years, I've been balancing motherhood, marriage, my career, and everything in between. I won't really say it's out of nowhere, but it was kind of out of nowhere, semi. The writing has been on the wall for, honestly, in my opinion, it's been on the wall for 2 years at this point. I was hit with an email that said, you have to now come in 5 days a week. Hybrid is done. Remote is done, or quit. Like the past half decade of my work did not even matter. Not even me, not even just me, of thousands of other people. Past 5 years didn't matter. 5 years is a long time. I mean, I was one of the people that 5 years ago, I didn't have 2 kids. And now I have 2 kids and he's in school. Like 5 years is such a long time. 5 years ago, there were people who had no responsibilities. And now they are caregivers to sometimes not even just their children, but what about a parent? If a parent falls ill, I mean, so many things happen in the past 5 years. And so to slam an ultimatum like that on people and they have to choose between their life or their career, and you don't even give them an option to have a hybrid, situation, it's a bit deranged. Like our role didn't matter. And even more so, not even our role career wise, but like my role as a mother didn't matter, that I could just give that up. And the gag is the person who put this ultimatum on thousands of people. How could you know? And don't get me wrong, I understand that it's business and I understand that business is not personal, but not for nothing. When you give close to a decade of your career to a company that you really, really love, because in the past, there was a work-life balance and they never made you choose because they understood all the changes that are happening in everyone's life. They understood that. But such is life. Someone new comes in and they don't care about anybody else's life other than themselves investors, and the board. So that's pretty much it. But this ultimatum that was not only given to myself, but like I said, thousands of other people, it made all of us, because I don't just speak for myself, I know so many people who have opted to quit. It's almost as though my entire life, my role as a wife, a mother, caregiver, but more so, my role on my team, it was all disposable for the sake of clocking in and keeping my seat warm. That's not flexibility. That's not leadership. That's a very, very diluted way of running a company. And yeah, I get it. That's how it was in the past. 5 days a week, there was no such thing as remote. Well, kind of. My godmother has worked remote her entire career, and my godmother is in her 70s. So I don't even want to hear that remote was not a thing. It was, but it wasn't as common. And I get that. I get that there was once a time where no one worked remote and everyone was commuting. I mean, the rush hour, like, I get it. But the entire planet shut down. That has to account for something. That has to account for understanding that times change. Hello. Times change. So what was once the standard now has been evolved into 3 new normals: on-site, hybrid, and remote. That's just the way of the workforce. To forcibly, and that's the thing, it's a mandate. And so you have to put the mandate on there, because if not, then you lose your job. So a lot of companies now are mandating that people come in 5 days a week. You cannot do that to grown-ass adults. You just can't. And we see it in the backlash response that a lot of these very privileged silver spoon CEOs are now facing. Do they give a shit? No, they don't. Forcing people to choose between their paycheck and the livelihood that they've built for themselves these past 5 years, that's not a business strategy. That's not pushing collaboration and open communication and efficiency in work. No. That's not what that is. No, that's a power trip. That's all that is. And so basically, I was given a choice between my family, taking care of my children, because I don't put my kids into daycare. I don't trust daycares. I don't have a babysitter because I don't trust anybody with my children. And if I have the ability to work from home in my pajamas and get my work done and lead award shows and multi-million-dollar campaigns from the comfort of my couch, why can't I do that? Because I've been doing it for the past 5 years. And so when you give me an ultimatum of my kids or my job, it's a no-brainer. I'm going to choose my kids every time. And honestly, it's not just choosing my kids and my family. It's choosing me, because I'm not the same person that I was 5 years ago. I'm different. I want different things. I seek different things. I don't want to go in. And that doesn't speak to my work ethic, because I'm working 16 hours a day sometimes. It's just life is different and times have changed. And the new normal for myself doesn't look the same as it did 5 years ago. And I should not have to compensate for that. I shouldn't have to prove to you that my value is just as significant working from home as it is being in the office, which, by the way, they're closing. Newsflash. So we're not safe either way. I want to shift in my career, and I want to be with my children, and I want to still have my job, and you're going to close the office anyway. And now everyone has to move to LA. Like all of these different things and different plans. And I'm also choosing me. It's more than just my family. It's me. What do I want? Like, yes, my son goes to school and someone can come and pick him up and drop him off, and my daughter can stay with my mother-in-law. Like, I know that. Like, there are so many different things that I could do, but I should not have to change my whole fucking life, change my normal for you. And I'm not going to. And so that's really what we're going to get into today. The fear, the freedom, and the next steps. But most importantly, how to be kind to yourself in the middle of it all. Quitting a job and finding something else. It's going to take, a lot of hustle, a lot of reinvention. But the truth is that we're human. And so, yes, I do a lot of, ultimate life rebrand and how to better yourself and better and better and better and better. We're people and shit gets really messy sometimes. It's a mess and it's chaotic, and you are forced to be in a situation that you did not see for yourself. And sometimes in those moments, the last fucking thing that you want to do is have a soft morning, because you're not afforded a soft morning, because you have to figure out your next move and you're riddled with fear and anxiety and worry and uncertainty. So sometimes having, nervous system friendly rituals and quiet time, like, we don't have the privilege of having that sometimes, especially when it feels like the rug was just ripped out from underneath you and now you're suspended in midair, but unfortunately, standing still is a privilege. And when you're in a situation like myself, who opted to quit, and you have bills and children and dependents to take care of, you gotta get moving. It sucks so fucking bad. And in the midst of all of that mess and all of those really crappy feelings that you feel, like I'm feeling right now, I'm not talking to you because I'm not going through it. I'm literally doing this entire episode because I am going through it right now. My last day is October 31st. Like I quit. like I quit. I'm talking to you as I'm going through it. And yeah, I feel really shitty, or I felt really shitty. I was able to sit with it. I put in my notice. We had until September 15th to put in our choice, whether we were going to quit or stay on full time. And so amidst everything that I feel, it really allows me to turn the page on a chapter that was already way too fucking long. And not only to turn the page on a long chapter, but to write the next one myself rather than letting somebody else do that for me. I hear a lot of people when they're like, I quit my job, and automatically they go, I'm sorry, and you almost feel like a loss, like a little bit of a failure. But I don't believe that that's what it immediately translates to. Quitting is not weak. It is a loss. It is a loss. It really is. But sometimes quitting is necessary. It's knowing when the math does not add up anymore. It's knowing if your career path requires you to abandon your sanity, which I know that's happened to so many of us, abandon your life, your work-life balance. That's not a path that I think that any of us should be on. And when you decide to quit, you're not walking away from security. You're walking away from a bounding box that is keeping you from reaching the potential that you want for yourself. Sometimes it's a kick in the ass that you need. This for me was a kick in the ass. I felt the writing on the wall for years. And in the months leading to this stupid buyout, merger, whatever the hell you want to call it, the writing was on the wall for me. And I knew that a shift was coming. I knew change was coming. It's funny because I had been seeing a lot of videos, and I've been feeling this myself for years, that my life is going to go into a paradoxical shift. It's going to be almost on its own different plane, this new phase of my life. And I had seen a video, and those videos that pop up on your TikTok where it's like, if this video lands on your For You page, like, it is meant for you to see it. Well, one of those landed on my page, and it's, oh my gosh, hindsight is always so 2020, because in the video she was like, you are so close. You have a foot in the doorway of your new life. And then she stopped and she looked at the camera and she was like, I'm so sorry, but you're going to have to go through some more shit before you get there. And at the time I was like going through a lot of internal healing and, relationship boundary. Like, I was going through a lot. And so I was like, period. Like, I feel like I'm in it now. I feel like I'm doing the work, cool. What else could happen? And then the next day I got an email saying either, come in 5 days a week or quit. And I was like, oh, so that's what you were talking about. Okay. And I sat there and I was just like, holy shit. And I had also been seeing a lot of videos that my life was going to change career-wise. like a new career was going to come into my path and it was going to catapult me. Like I had just kept seeing these messages and videos and things on the street. Like I was like, this is not a coinky dink. This shit is, hello, Lord. I hear you. And then I get this email. I was like, yo, what? So I had been feeling it. And so in my bones, I had been feeling it. So when I got that email, it was almost like a revelation, like a holy shit, this is it. I was not surprised. I have to tell you, I was not surprised in the slightest that this person who purchased my company was going to do this. I was not surprised. I knew it. I felt it in my soul that this is what was going to happen. And I knew I was going to have to leave. I'm very in tune with myself and very in tune with my energy and very spiritual. And so I felt it. It was in my gut. And yeah, I was feeling all the things, you know. I have an astronomical mortgage. I purchased a house in 2025. So yeah, my mortgage is high. I got bills. I got kids. I have needs. I like to shop. What the hell am I going to do? The fear sets in quickly. I'm thinking, okay, even though the writing was on the wall and I'm prepared for it, but am I? Am I actually? And I sat with that uncertainty and fear. But then I thought about everything that I had been seeing and feeling. You feel the grief because no matter what way you look at it, you are losing something. But then my mind just shifted. And it was almost like all of the bitterness that I had felt in this very bittersweet feeling, it's almost as though it just became sweet because I was like, this is it. Like, I knew I wanted to quit. Like I knew for years I had been thinking, okay, I want something new. I want something different, but I'm comfortable right now. I have a wonderful boss. I have a great team. He lets me be remote. I can go as I please with my kids. My work always gets done, so I'm not concerned about that. And I have a boss and a team who's really respectful of my life and I theirs. So I was comfortable. And to be honest, I was comfortable in the most wonderful way. Like it wasn't as though I was comfortable and like stuck, you know, but honestly, maybe I was. Maybe I was stuck. And this was the push off the cliff that I needed. My mindset shifted. Like it wasn't, I wasn't walking away from security. I was walking away into this new freedom, into this new path for myself that I had felt that I needed for years. And all throughout our life, we're told, you know, give your loyalty, seniority, tenure. That's what you need at a company. You want to show them that you're going to be there for the long haul. You stay loyal, you climb the ladder, you live happily, you retire, boom, that's it. That's the American dream. Bang, you're done. Right? And it's like, but that's not the way the world works anymore. Industries change overnight. Companies fold. People burn out. People mentally quit before they physically quit. And the idea that you're supposed to stay at a job forever, one job, one field, it's very outdated. And people quit all the time. People leave jobs all the time. People get let go from jobs all the time. This is something that's new for me, but this is not something that's new for others. I mean, you got people I know, listen, every C-suite, every SVP, every executive that I have come in contact with, the majority of them don't stay at a company for more than 3 to 5 years. That's crazy to me. But in the workforce climate, no matter what industry you're in, that's the way to go. That's how you climb the title ladder, and that's how you climb the tax brackets. That's what I've seen. And so I get it. But for me, I don't have the luxury to be quitting and bouncing from spot to spot. I need to know that my 401k is good, my benefits are good, my health insurance, that my maternity leave, because not for nothing, when your kids are young, that is when you need the most stability. Or when you're purchasing a house, you need shit to be stable. You cannot be making all these money hungry moves. Listen, I love that, but you can't do that. Like, you need to have solid ground underneath you, because raising a family, taking care of your family, however that looks for you, That's a lot to juggle. And you want to have some semblance of a constant while you're navigating through all these new changes. Your money needs to be constant. Okay? You can't have that shit fluctuating when you're dealing with life. That shit needs to be solid. So no, I was not sitting here thinking, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make these moves. No. Because that paycheck was coming every 2 weeks. My 401k. You see what I'm saying? So I was doing other things. A podcast, a brand, a bit. So I was veering off into other avenues because I knew that I had that constant. And so now this being thrown at me, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's difficult, but not for nothing. It was a clear sign. It was written, bold fucking letters. And I felt it the moment I got that email that this version of me has outgrown this company. It has outgrown this network. And as much as my brain, my logical brain is resisting it, my soul knows that this is the right move for me. My gut knows that this is the right move for me. You always have that rational part of your brain that's always going to be like, well, what if this and what if this and what if this? The careful brain. That careful brain, if you listen to it too much, you can become complacent. And that's when you become in that mundane cycle of never evolving and shifting mindsets, habits, behaviors, money. So I'm not going to listen to her all the time. Love her, but stay over here. And so going through that mindset shift of like, okay, you know what? I'm ready for it. I was telling my girlfriend, my colleague, I'm like, girl, not for nothing. It sounds crazy, but yes, a little part of me is anxious, but I'm excited. And she hit me back. She goes, I need to be on your wavelength. And I was like, girl, what are you going to do? What am I going to do? Cry about it? I cried about it. I did cry about it. Hold on. But I cried about it because I've worked really hard in my fucking career. I love my team. I love my boss. I love my job. I loved my company. I loved it. So yeah, that was really shitty to lose. Now with this new doorway kind of opening, I'm starting over, but I'm starting over smarter than I was before. Because the truth is that when these things like this happen in your life, you have to quiet that self-doubt brain. That rational brain can easily turn into the self-doubt brain because you're trying to think very logistically. Money, bills, jobs aren't hiring, people are laying off. If people are getting laid off, how the hell am I going to get a job? That can really eat away at your spirit when you're trying to re-enter yourself into kind of a rat race that you weren't really prepared to enter yourself into, right? But when you sit back and you think about every role that you've ever had, even within that company, you didn't just do one thing. A lot of us do 1,000 different things. I was doing experiential design. I was designing booths and fucking projection screens. I was designing product. I went from being a digital designer to brand to art. We do a lot. Okay? When you go to one job, you don't just do one thing. So all those skills within that role, every single thing that you've now learned, everything you've built, everything you've been taught and you have taught, that just builds you up in that foundation of who you are professionally, and you bring that somewhere else. I implore you to do it so that you sit with the feeling, you don't bury the feeling, sit with the loss. But then please do me a favor and blink and remember everything that you've gained. Because everything that you've gained, you're taking this to someplace else where you're going to be a little bit more selective on where you want to work, with the people that you want to work. You're not just going to take the first thing that comes your way. We're going to be intentional with how we find a new job. Me and you both. Let's retire the guilt of saying, hey, maybe I could have made it work. Maybe I could have stayed a little longer. Maybe I should have seen where it went. Maybe they weren't going to sell. Maybe they weren't going to cut another $2 billion. And maybe I would have kept my job a little longer. Maybe I don't have to go into the rat race. No, we're pivoting. Because if a company is not going to invest in you, you need to invest in yourself. And you doing this is you investing in yourself in the ways that's going to pay off tremendously. Careers are not ladders anymore. Careers are mosaics. every role, every side hustle, every pivot. It's building towards this bigger picture that I have for myself, and I'm sure you have for yourself. Just because you leave one path doesn't mean that you're lost. So along with that rule of staying, being loyal, XYZ, you're always told to stay in your lane. You're always told to stay in your lane. Sometimes though, when you are put into a situation like this, you let go, you quit, whatever. Sometimes that lane no longer works. And sometimes that lane is bringing you toward a direction that doesn't really align with who you are right now. There was a time where that lane was everything that you needed and everything that you needed to be in. The lanes split, merge, collide, veer off, and it's time to find a new direction. So after we sit with all of these feelings, after we really take the time to understand why we feel the way we feel, do all of the inner work and self-reflection, the quiet time, the quiet moments, change the mindset. While that's fucking great, we need some money, okay? Because a mindset ain't gonna make me money. So let's find a job. After the mindset, we have the plan. What's the plan? The plan is to go into these next steps without the pressure, without the burnout. After we grieve the loss of the job and we shift it to realizing and remembering everything that we've gained, we're going to write those down. Every single thing that you've done, every title that you've held, every promotion. We're not just talking about the PR answer of what we've done. We're talking about the nitty-gritty shit. Every single detail. And this may take a couple days. This is not going to take a 1 hour sitting, because if you've been in a job for as long as I have, even longer, shit, even 3 years. So you're not going to remember everything in one sitting. Take a second. The biggest piece, before I even continue this list, the biggest piece is for you to do this on your own time. This is not a race. You need to do this in your own time. And you cannot put pressure on yourself, because when you put pressure on yourself, then you feel defeated. Once you feel defeated, you quit. And this time you're not quitting a job. You're quitting on yourself. And we're not doing that. Give yourself some grace and give yourself some time, and do this in the time that you know makes sense for you. So we're writing down everything that we've ever done. Did you manage teams? Did you manage one person? Did you discuss vendors? Did you handle budgets? If you've led the team, how did you lead the team? Was it on site? Was it during meetings? Every little detail is important and it's very valuable. Big one, kind of obvious, your LinkedIn and your resume. LinkedIn has become the professional social media hub, okay? And it is vital. It is necessary. Everybody uses it and everybody's on there for a reason. That's how I got my job, through LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn and your resume, everything can connect and everything can be intertwined and be cohesive with each other. If you need a portfolio like myself, get your website together. My portfolio is 85% done. I had projects on there from years ago. I had projects that had nothing to do with what I was working on at this company. So now I'm putting all that in there, flooding it with all the work that I have done, that I've won awards for, pretty much everything. And when you're writing your resume and you're making sure that that work experience reflects the work experience on your LinkedIn, because everyone's going to go to the LinkedIn. Everyone wants to see you, what you're about, what you're posting, who you're commenting on, who you're sharing, who your connections are. That is so important to everybody. People don't think that it is, but it very much is. Making sure that that language matches, but also too, you're not just listing the things that you've done. You're telling a story of your time at your previous company. People want to get to know you before actually physically getting to know you. Try to do everything you can to display the impact that you made while you were at your company. Hiring managers and recruiters don't just want to know what you did at the company. They want to know how you made a difference, how you impacted those around you, how you work with others. Make sure that your information online, your resume reflects that, reflects the essence of who you are professionally. This is a big one. This is one that may actually give you a little bit of anxiety. That's okay, because it gives me anxiety too. We're going to lean into our network. You're going to reach out to the people that you know, because jobs don't just come from applications. They come from conversations, word of mouth. Reach out to old colleagues, mentors, or even that person that you casually connected with on LinkedIn. Let people know about your pivot. Let people know that you're looking. Let people know that there's a shift going on in your life and that you're looking for different opportunities and challenges. Also, talk with the people that you used to work with that maybe no longer work with you anymore. That's why I always try to keep my connections open. I always try to network. I am always online, making sure that those relationships don't dwindle out, because I'll tell you one thing right now, people will only reach out to you when they need something. That's never going to be me. I keep in contact with everybody that I've ever worked with, who I have a relationship with, because yes, a lot of them I love and they're my genuine friends. A lot of people, because you recognize the roles that people play in your life, a lot of people, I keep you there professionally. Love you. So those are the three very simplified ways on getting back in there. Job hunting can literally feel like a full-time job. So schedule breaks. Let's not be doing this every single day. I understand that the pressure is on. Believe me, I do. I understand that a lot of us have a time limit if we've gotten let go or we have the severance quitting like I opted into. I got a severance. That was maybe his way of trying to soften the burn a little bit, but we are on a little bit of a time crunch when we're doing these things. Let's do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Let's not sit there for hours going through applications, sending applications, writing emails, writing different cover letters. We cannot be doing that every single day. Let's not let the rejection emails dictate our worth. This is a part of your self-investment. Do not burn yourself out trying to find a job. Balance it. Make space for rest. Make space for yourself to take it fucking easy and pat yourself on the back for how far you've come and for the effort that you've been putting in lately. Because the truth of the matter is, hustling yourself into the ground is not going to get you hired faster. It's just going to have you resent the process. Now, we changed our mindset before we started executing on the pivot. We've done the 3 steps of getting ourselves prepared to start applying. We've scheduled breaks for our day to make sure that we're giving time to ourselves. But at the same time, too, while we're applying, while we're in the thick of it, it could be very easy to start to feel sad and say, what the fuck? I didn't even want to be doing this in the first place. During this pivot, during these periods of quiet that you give yourself from applying and emailing, take a beat. And this is another layer of giving yourself a little grace, because quitting is a loss. Even if you hated your fucking job, there's a grief there because you are losing something. You're closing a chapter of your life. And identity wise, especially if you've been at this place for a long time like I have, it's very heavy when you're doing something like that. You need to sit with it and you need to feel it and take a pause, because if you start to bury those feelings instead of moving through them, going through them, they're just going to bubble up at a later date, and all you're going to do is hurt yourself. One of the best tools that I use, I talk to myself. That may sound a little 730, but I talk to myself all the time, because sometimes, like, who do you call when you need a little pick me up? You know, talk to yourself the way you would talk to your best friend who just quit her toxic ass job, right? Sis, proud of you. You don't need that. Congratulations on quitting. On to the next one, right? You're that bitch. You don't need them. They need you. They don't even know what they lost now that you're leaving, right? Speak to yourself that way. Hype yourself up. Write yourself little notes that you stick throughout your house that you can open and say, oh shit, you know what? I am that bitch. I was sad. I felt sad. I went through it. I sat with it. And now it's time to hop back the fuck on. Allotting yourself time to pause and take a beat, that is not you falling behind. That is just another step in this process. Because you taking that step is also feeding into the energy for you to keep going, for you to keep pushing. Because if you burn out, you're actually stopping yourself from reaching certain jobs. It's almost like that meme where that guy is digging underground and he stops right before he hit the diamond. That's burnout. Don't do that to yourself. So taking a pause actually is very, very good for you. And for me personally, where I want to land in my career, I would love, and I'm not even trying to I don't even know, pity, clout, whatever. I don't even know what this is called. I would love to do my show full time. I would love to do my show and freelance and let that be my primary source of income. And that's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I'm putting all of my energy into. Balance for me is not a luxury. Balance is not a perk. Balance for me is a non-negotiable. If a job, a boss, a company does not understand that, then they don't deserve my loyalty, nor my work ethic, or my talent, or my expertise. I was forced to pick between my career and my family. And in walking away, I realized something, that the roles, the people, the companies that are truly aligned with me, that are meant for me, will never ask me to make that choice again. So let's do it together, because this is a very monumentally life-shifting moment, and it is hard, and it's heavy, and it's unfortunate, and it's worrisome, and it comes with a lot of uncertainty. But once this period is over, hindsight is always going to be 2020. And I know that I'm going to feel so thankful that I made the decision that I did. And that is all for today's episode. If you are listening to this right now and you feel stuck, here's your reminder that you are not falling behind. You are not failing, and you are not throwing it all away. If you walk away, you're shifting, you're choosing peace, and you're betting on yourself. And that is the most important career move that you could ever make. If you cannot get enough of me the same way I cannot get enough of you, do me a favor and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Latinaly Podcast, and subscribe to us on YouTube and on Spotify, and make sure that you get notified everywhere you get your podcast so you never miss an episode of Latinaly. If there are any burning questions that you have, piping hot tea, or any juicy stories that you need advice on, or you just want me to respond to as your very blunt bestie, be sure to visit ngl.link/Latinaly Podcast to submit anonymously, and I will answer them on my monthly segment, signed Kaya. Or you can go to kayaburgos.com and you can ask a question over there too. I am Kaya Burgos. This is the Latinaly Podcast, where we are untamed, uncensored, and always unapologetic. And I'll see you next week.